Hi, my name is Gabriel.
Hi, my name is Ethan.
This is the Two Dudes, One Debate podcast.
Episode 2.
This week we'll be discussing the MLB. More specifically, we'll start with the opening season to MLB, our early predictions for the World Series, and we'll end with the controversial Torpedo Bat.
Yes, very interesting season to get ahead so far.
Yeah, so I think I'll start. So for my hot teams that have really caught my eye for this opening season to the MLB, first I gotta say pretty much just the whole National League West division, in my opinion, most of it, not the whole, most of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have the Dodgers, I have the Padres, and I have the Giants. The Dodgers right now, at the time of recording this video, they're 14-6, along with the 8-0 start, which was actually the best ever by reigning champions.
Mm-hmm.
They just impressed early, which was the expectation. So they met expectations, but that doesn't take away from what they're doing. Obviously, I have the Padres who are actually doing better than the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that says a lot about what their team is doing this year. Jackson Merrill's producing, and that's just making his $135 million contract worth it. So, I mean, they're doing really well. And of course, I have to say the Giants, they're also 13-6. They started 8-1 for the first time since 2003. So they're doing well this time around. And I think they're just surpassing a lot of expectations. And, they're definitely having a hot start to this season.
Yeah.
Some other teams I have are also the Cubs. They're 12-9. Kyle Tucker has been great since joining the team. Shota Managa and Matthew Boyd have also been good, very valuable assets to the team. So I think they're just a
Mm-hmm.
well-rounded team with those three players, along with everybody else. They're just they've been doing good this season. I also have the Rangers. They're 11-7, so they're not the prettiest record, but it's still a good record. Especially
Mm-hmm.
when I first wrote this to the start of the season, they were doing really good. They've been having strong pitching, and that's been making up for their pitiful hitting. They've been having a lot of issues producing behind the bat, and that's shown in their not pretty record. But their pitching has been making up for a lot of the issues, and I think if they can step up at the bat a little better, their record's going to look a lot nicer. And lastly, I
Mm-hmm.
do have the Angels. I think the Angels are a hot team. They are 9-8, so you're going to see that and be like, why are they a hot team in opening season? I just think because they've surpassed expectations. I mean, 9-8 surpassing expectations probably
Yeah,
shows
and this
that.
is also their best start since 2011.
Yeah, so I mean, with a 9-8 record surpassing expectations, it really shows that they didn't have too high of expectations, but they still did have good production. They still did do good things behind the bat, pitching, just
Mm-hmm.
overall throughout the game. So I think the Angels are, another good start. They've been better than the
Yeah.
Astros thus far.
Yeah.
Trout and Hope have been batting and hitting homers consistently, not necessarily every game, every bat,
Mm-hmm.
but they've been doing it pretty consistently, which is, help bolster this offense.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with a lot of those teams, and it goes pretty in line with what we're seeing now with the rankings. Like right now, we have in the National League just the Padres being 15-4, Dodgers 14-6, the Giants 13-6, Diamondbacks 12-7, and the Mets 11-7. Just in the National League, a lot of these teams that we've seen being pretty decent last season, just coming out of the gate and just probably on National League spectrum, just being a very dominant team so far. Then on the American League, having the Yankees 10-7, Rangers 10-7, the Tigers 11-8, Blue Jays 8-11, or 11-8, and then the Angels 9-8. Just even just in American League, them are just showing what they can be made of, and hopefully they can keep this steam engine rolling through the rest of this season.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. A lot of these
with
teams. Oh, you go
mm-hmm.
ahead.
No, you were talking first.
I was just gonna say a lot of these teams are, meeting and surpassing a lot of expectations. Not all of them. I
Yes.
mean, the
Hmm.
Astros have not been good this season, so
Same thing with
um,
the Braves are probably
right.
the bottom five of the whole MLB right
Yeah,
now.
they're towards the bottom of the barrel.
Hmm.
So not everybody's had a start to the season, but I'd say those six teams that I mentioned, they have to be
Hmm.
my hottest starts to the season for numerous reasons. But those are pretty much the most obvious to me.
Yes, and going into now players, I'll agree with a lot of what the MLB is saying, like what they published on February 13th of their top 10 players, having Shohei Ohtani with the Dodgers, Aaron Judge with the Yankees, Bobby Witt Jr. with the Royals, Juan Soto with the Mets, Mookie Betts with the Dodgers. Just those top players are just just some of what the top 10 are, but they're really showing what they can be made of
Well, I
through
hope
this season.
Juan Soto can show what he's made of with that big old
Yes.
contract. He better do
Yeah,
something.
he's helping the Mets. They're in the top five, just National League in general,
Well,
and
good.
the New York Mets are in top five of MLB right now.
Well, that's good because when I saw that contract, I was highly skeptical. But if he can
Hmm.
continue producing and win them some championships and get them some good
Yes,
stats, then it'll
yes,
be worth it. So he just has
yes.
to, continue the track he's on, and I think it'll be worth it.
Hmm. And now going into opening day, just the season had a lot of great games going into it. Two games going into 10 innings, having high scoring games. Like we had the Baltimore Orioles and the Blue Jays, with Orioles coming out on top 12-2, and then having Cleveland beating what were they? The Royals 7-4. Um, the White Sox beating the Angels 8-1. Just these games that are going through, just opening day was just a really good day for a lot of teams.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of these, not a lot, I think specifically one team had a better opening, few games than other teams.
Hmm.
We'll get into the reason why in a little bit, but
Yes.
for the most part, I think these opening games predicted a lot, obviously, of who's going to be on top and who's going to be on bottom. I mean, that's
Hmm.
generally how it works, but I mean, not always, because if you look at the NFL's New Orleans Saints, their first two games they were hot, and then yeah. But anyway,
Hmm.
this week's about MLB, so I think this opening day for a lot of the teams was very indicative of how they are doing now, and I
Hmm.
think they'll. I think the teams that are hot, I hope at least they'll stay hot, and I
Yes.
hope that they continue to produce because if they do, then my predictions for this World Series is going to be right.
I know, just like looking at some of like the scores going in opening day, aren't aligned with what we're seeing now with standings, like the where were they? Like the Mets losing to the Astros 3-1, and now Astros are low overall teams, while the Mets are in top five, having the uh, Angels losing 8-1, but also being in the top 10 of their standings. Just they're like those aren't aligning, but I could see how these teams are taking losses and then just pushing forward and making wins out of them.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, for the next part, the early predictions for the World Series. My first prediction is I have the Dodgers going back to the World Series. I mean, I think this isn't a very controversial take, but I 100% believe they're going to go back. Shohei's just playing too well, along with
Hmm.
Mookie, Will Smith, and Yamamoto. They're
Yes.
just their their stardom. The four players are just too good to not carry that team to another playoff berth and not berth, another playoff run, and
Hmm.
most likely the World Series. I mean, obviously you have two bona fide superstars in Mookie and Shohei, but
Yes.
I mean, even if you look at Will Smith, this man is putting up crazy numbers. I mean, last time I checked, he was leading the team in a lot of their stats over Shohei. So I mean, if they just continue that way they've been playing, specifically those four players, I think they're going to go far. And I
Yeah.
mean, just simply put, they've been as good as advertised. I mean, there's nothing thus far to say why they wouldn't go back. There's really
Hmm.
no, concrete evidence or reasons as to argue that they won't go back to the World Series. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because they just been good. Not perfect. No
Hmm.
team's perfect, but they've been really good.
Yeah, and that's what I'm seeing with um, like the Padres. I have them on my first prediction going into the World Series, just being a dominant force in MLB. Just I think they could go beat the Dodgers in the playoffs and going into World Series, because playoffs are going to be another animal in itself than just the regular season that we have ahead of us. But I could see them pushing through and being part of the World Series against another team.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Hmm.
For my other team I have going, I'm torn. I can see either the Yankees or the Padres going,
Hmm.
both for obvious reasons. I mean, if I'm going to talk about the Yankees, just regardless of the reason, they just had a beautiful start to the season. I
Yes.
mean, a lot of people can say why or why they think. Regardless, they did great, and
Hmm.
they're continuing to do good under Aaron Judge, who, in my
Yes.
opinion, is the best player in the league. I love Shohei, but I'm just too much of an Aaron Judge fan to say he's not the best in the
Well,
league right
yeah, and
now.
also Aaron Judge adding on Soho Otani and then Mike Trout, they're leading the MLB in home runs in their
Yeah,
careers.
yeah, and he's doing it all without a torpedo bat. He's one of
Hmm.
the very few that have opted out of using one, and he's still
Yes.
producing and as one of the best in the league. So, and he was
Yes.
just named team captain for the Team USA that he's been elected for. So
Hmm.
I mean, just Aaron Judge is leading that Yankees team. I can imagine him leading into great things, including the World Series, not the World Final. Sorry.
Hmm.
Yeah, like I said, Aaron Judge is just player he always is. Without that bat, I mean, he's just too good. And the only thing the only knock I really have on the Yankees that has me torn with them and the Padres has to be their consistency. One week they'll absolutely tear apart another team, just straight blow them out. Obviously, like you
Hmm.
saw in the opening, they had a hot opening, and then the next week they'll get blown out, or they might
Yeah.
just not win. And then the next week they'll do amazing, and the week after they'll get blown out. So I think
Hmm.
it's just inconsistency issue for them. And I think if they can get that under control, of course they can't win every game, but I think if they start winning more than every other week or every other week,
Hmm.
I think they have a strong chance of making it and hopefully winning over the Dodgers. Besides obviously the Yankees, I also have the Padres. They are doing better than the Dodgers. They
Hmm.
are obviously one of the best teams in the league right now. Just the record reflects that. Their play reflects that. I mean, their run prevention has just been top notch, and you can't win a game
Yes.
without any runs. So if they're
Hmm.
stopping everything you're throwing at them, literally, I mean, you just can't win. So I think if they're
Yeah.
continuing that, run defense, they're just gonna go far. And obviously, when you have Tatis Jr., Muriel, and Machado, I mean, it's hard not to win those games. I mean, their stars are playing like stars, and I mean, obviously that's expected when you're a star of the
Hmm.
league. You're expected to play like that. But their faces of the franchise are doing what they're supposed to. Because some fall off, some just don't meet expectations. But these guys are meeting and surpassing the expectations, and they're
Hmm.
really providing this Padres team with a real chance for the World Series. And I think if they just continue to produce, their team can get, that run prevention or that run defense, just keep it going for the whole season. I can see them making a high run.
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely agree with all those that you stated for that team. Like I'm excited for any of these teams that are actually putting in the effort and just going out and will win this World Series at the end of the season. Um, and it's just like surprising to see like a lot of these teams that didn't gain much traction last season are coming out here and showing why they can be included as well. Like me choosing my second option with the Rangers, just this team that is just coming out strong, and hopefully it's not strong hitting and then just rolling out steam at the end. Just them going through these couple of games, or not couple of games, like a few games. Um, they're just coming out here hitting, stopping runs, making sure that they can be here at the top with uh, the Rangers being number 2 in the American League, and then being number 7 in all of MLB. They give people why, like, reason why they are in this conversation for me, and probably with a lot of other people as well.
My question is, can you see them over the Padres though? Like over the Yankees or the Padres?
That's why I have them at number 2. Yankees, seeing how the reason why a lot of their runs are happening, how they're I can see them mainly outscoring than out stopping,
That's a good
is
point.
because of reason, but also other a lot of other teams are now gaining that reason as well, which is going to make it more fair for all of this team. But I'll discuss more of that in our next like segment, as if you want to say.
Mhm.
But just I could see like an underdog like the Rangers coming in and making their name shown in the World Series. Like I'm not like I would like to have like the Angels, childhood favorite team for a long time, for to come in and just go back to the World Series since I believe it was 2011 or somewhere around there that they actually won the World Series. I feel like these small underdog teams have a chance to go through, use their best runners, best hitters, and stoppers just to, and even just upgrade their field just to be in competition with these high hitting super dogs here.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, of all those teams, or at least my teams, I have the Dodgers, the Yankees, or the Padres. I really, actually, I think it's going to come down probably to the Dodgers and Padres. If I'm being honest, you know, Dodgers have four, the
Mm-hmm.
Padres have three stars, and I
Yeah,
just think it's probably pretty much going to be probably a big battle between those guys.
just to get into the World Series because they're on the same league. So just seeing them in the semifinals, just
Yeah,
it's that's going to be a good
just their
game.
battle, I think, is going to come down to them. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think besides that, it's probably going to be the Yankees up there. But I mean, just them and their battle. I mean, I can see those two duking it out the most, and that's the hardest part for me to decide on who's going to make it, the
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers or the Padres, because they're both so good. You know, they're both really talented teams. It's just like one of those things. I think I'm gonna have to see more games, evaluate
Yeah.
it more. But I mean,
Which is understandable. This is early predictions of what we're seeing right now. Like for me, I have Yankees and Padres, and then right after I have Rangers Padres. I have Padres for the National League to be my favorite in the World Series.
I can agree with that. I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
But moving on to our next and final segment, we have the torpedo bat controversy.
Mm-hmm.
So, just for a little explanation, the torpedo bat, also known as the bowling pin bat, um, it's a new type of bat that did debut this MLB season. The reason it's called the torpedo or the bowling pin bat is mainly just due to its, or actually, really just due to its appearance. I mean, it's very thick at the top and slims down to the bottom. Um, all bats have to weigh the same
Mm-hmm.
amount. Like that's the rule. All bats have to be the same weight. But I mean, how you distribute the weight, how you make the bat look. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's up to each team, up to the bat creators. I mean, there's really no limits. It's just that's the biggest rule. So when they try to create this new bat, they redistributed a lot of the weight from around the bat, mostly towards the area of like 6 or 7 yards, or not yards. I'm sorry, inches below the tip. So because that's right where the batters will hit the ball. So they wanted to redistribute a lot of the weight towards the point of contact. So it'll have a lot more, strength. It'll hit the ball. I'm sorry, a lot farther. It'll be a lot easier to hit because it's a bigger, diameter. Just a bunch of stuff like that. So I mean, That's the reason for the name and pretty much just the composition of the bat.
Yeah, and I
Um,
could go more into like the history of this torpedo bat. Like here, I'll give some like just start off. The MLB rules is again same weight. It has to be smooth and round, made from one piece of wood. No longer um, than 42 inches in length. The diameter of the barrel has to be no more than 2.61 inches, which we've seen a lot of bats come in from. Because the barrel doesn't matter how long it is. You could have as a little ball if you want top, or the whole thing down to the handle if you would like. But there's no rule on saying how big or small the barrel needs to be, or where the actual barrel needs to sit on the bat. But the first company that made this bat was the brand Tatter, with the help of Aaron Lendart, if I'm saying that correctly, which he came from I want to say either the Mariners or the Marlins, one of those M teams. Went to the Yankees and studied where a lot of these professional hitters are hitting the ball, and he found out that a lot of these players are hitting the ball 3 inches under the sweet spot. And he said, "Hey, let's move this barrel down and see." And the first player to actually use this was Giancarlo um, Stanton. I can't say that. I probably botched that first name horribly, but he used it in the Yankees postseason of 2024, which out of the 14 games he used, he hit 7 home runs in 14 games. Um, but he could not use the bat in his preseason, because when it did come up to preseason, he tore both tendons in his elbows, and he speculates it's coming from the torpedo bat, from just how awkward he's hitting, just not used to trying to extend his arm all the way out, just coming back and swinging power and hitting it longer. But with opening one the on opening season, March 9th, 29th game, the Yankees and Brewers, which was the first regular season game that the Torpedo Bat made a opening or a debut, was they hit 9 home runs with the Torpedo Bat, and they scored the Brewers 20-9 on that game.
right. Yeah, that's what I mean. I wasn't going to say anything too different. I mean, the bat is a proven home run machine. Like you said, something similar. In the Yankees' first 3 games, they got 15 home runs, which
Mm-hmm.
tied the record, the MLB record previously to that. So, I mean, the best positive way to describe the bat is it's innovative or revolutionary. But, I
Yes.
mean, there's a lot of opinions going around and a lot of different, speculations, stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
before I elaborate on mine, I actually like to hear yours.
On my opinion on it.
Yes.
So with all these studies, with just in their training facilities that a lot of these teams are making, I think it's a really cool and innovative way to improve and to help these players hit the ball. Yes, oh, you could if you're hitting the ball here, it doesn't mean that 100% this bat's going to make you hit the ball 100% of the time, but it will help these players actually improve stats. I do believe or feel that these bats aren't a good way to show skill yet. We've had a whole bunch of bats. We had curved bats. We had bats that almost looked like a cricket bat. We've had all these bats coming from the start of MLB to now, um, that helped in certain ways for some players. But with this bat specifically, I could see that it'll help. Yeah, it'll cause some home run records to break and shatter just because of this bat. But if a lot of these teams are going to use it, I don't see it as a unfair advantage on the Yankees starting with it. But now the Phillies are going to get it. We have the Las Vegas Aviators, a minor league team. They're the first minor league team, to my knowledge, to be using this type of bat. Just if it's going to be more widespread, I don't think there's really going to be an unfairness to it.
Yeah, I can see that. I agree with most of your points. In my opinion, I will let me preface with this. I can understand why they created it. The
Mm-hmm.
MLB has become a hard league, well, the only league, obviously, but it's become extremely difficult for batters to hit the ball. That's known. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody knows
that's
that.
that's the main point of baseball is
Right.
hitting
But
a round ball with something else round is the hardest thing to do in sports.
right, but the thing is, with the recent what's the word? With the recent tests and studies, with the
Hmm.
recent polls, all the players, a lot of the personnel, they've all agreed that as the years have gone on and into the last season, pitching has become too good to the point where it's becoming unfair for the players to hit the ball. So
Hmm.
they're saying it's not. I mean, they're saying it's nearly impossible for them to hit, which is why generally the numbers have dipped, and they're just saying it's an unfair advantage that pitchers
Well,
have. It's just
also a
become
couple of seasons ago, just to add on to that, the home run average or the hitting average has decreased because the like the first change to a bat was smalling the barrel because barrel bats would break too constantly. It would cause injuries. They'd fly out in stands in the field and just be more reckless. So we've seen numbers dip not because of pitching also, but because of the MLB regulation.
No, yeah, I can agree with that. There's a lot of obviously fact contributing factors to that. It's not only
Hmm.
pitching, but pitching has become a known factor that pitchers are getting better as the years goes on. They're not getting worse. Just with technology, with training, people starting when they're way younger. There's pitchers are getting better, and batters may be good, but they're not able to keep up. So I can understand that as being a motivation for creating this new bat. They wanted to give it back a competitive edge. They wanted to make it fair again. But in my opinion, I do not like the bat. I really don't. I mean, I can see why, like I said, they did it. They want to improve player confidence. I mean, if you're missing the ball 90% of the time and not able to hit very far, or you're just not producing, it's going to affect a lot of confidence. It's going to make games not as competitive. It's going
Hmm.
to, have a lot of just domino effect if somebody's not confident in their ability to play the game they love. So that makes a lot of sense. But I mean, it's just there's so much more negative to the game that bat can cause. I mean, first off, what I kept alluding to earlier, stat inflation. I mean, I'm not saying obviously if you make it to the MLB you're some sort of good, but most of the players that have been, you know, using the bat and getting their stats really good have been nobodies. They've just been
Hmm.
lower tier players or names that not a lot of people know, and they've been hitting a lot of home runs. They've been getting a lot of, nice games or nice plays, and hats off to them. I'm not wishing that anybody's going to have a bad career. I'm just saying at the end of the day, most of their productions be coming from the bat, not necessarily their talent. You see what I'm saying? So I think first off, it's just stat inflation. I mean, if you can just grab that bat and start hitting home runs like your Aaron Judge, it's going to make you look as good as him. And that can lead also to domino effects. Bad players getting better contracts that they don't necessarily deserve. You know what I mean? So it can hurt just talent recognition in general because you can start comparing two players that aren't necessarily even close when it comes to talent or hard work. Like I just said, Aaron Judge, he's easily the best player in the Yankees or on the Yankees. He's their best player. He's their
Hmm.
captain, and in my opinion, he's the best in the league. I mean, he just proves too much to not be the best. But I mean, with players that are the players I looked at were very close behind him. I don't remember their names, but they weren't players I've ever heard of, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people haven't really heard of them. Last time I checked, he had 7 home runs. I'm pretty sure, and they had 5 each. There was 2 of them that had 5, and I just necessarily don't think it's fair that he is someone that obviously works so hard and super talented. He's spent years getting his name recognized, and then all of a sudden these randos get this beautiful bat and start putting numbers close to his. So uneducated people in the sport are going to believe, oh, they're probably really close to Aaron Judge, but they're not. You know what I mean? So it's just not that fair. Along with that, in my opinion, it creates a competitive imbalance. I see that they're trying to balance out the game with the pitchers, but it's not really balancing. If anything, it's just changing. If there's a lot of competitive imbalance it causes. I mean, in a game, one single game itself, if you're hitting one, two, three home runs and you're not that good, obviously you're going to blow out a team, especially if you're doing it a piece. One dude's hitting two, another's hitting three, another's hitting one. You know what I mean? If you're doing all that, you're going to blow out the other team. And even if they had great pitchers, there's only so much you can do, especially with those bats. So that's going to take off a lot of competitive games because think about it. If the Yankees, with that 20 win or that 20-point blowout, are able to do that all the time, then what are you going to tune into the game for? To see somebody get blown out by 15 plus points in the MLB game? That's crazy. So I just think that causes a big competitive imbalance. And also, I mean, think about it like this: it's an expensive investment. These bats aren't cheap, especially for MLB teams who have to get lots in bulk numerous times throughout the season. You see what I'm saying? So I mean, if teams that don't have as much funds as others try to invest in it, they won't be able to. So that means it's going to leave teams like the Yankees, you know what I mean, that have access to these bats to perform better than other teams because these other teams can't afford it. So you combine that with the stat inflation. So these teams are going to be getting blowout wins and the other teams can't produce that much because they're not going to have access to the same equipment. And that's not fair. When, if your point is true, when every team could get it, I mean, that would take away that point, and I can agree with that. And obviously, lastly, I just think it's going to impact a lot of special aspects of the game. If home runs are coming out in bulk per game, it's going to take away the beauty and this just how special a home run is. If you're seeing 5, 6, 7, 8 home runs a game, it's not going to be super special. Nobody's going to hit him. Oh my God, home run! They're going to be like, okay, another hit. Is not going to be anything crazy, and that's going to take a lot of the excitement out of the game of basketball. You see what I'm saying? It's just,
Baseball, you mean, not
oh,
basketball.
I'm sorry, baseball. Not, you're right, not basketball, baseball. I just think if the bat is used like that, it's going to take a lot of the highlights out of this sport that people love, and it's going to lose a lot of its entertainment.
Yeah, I could see that. But we're not promising that every single batter is going to be hitting the ball because, like you said, pitchers are getting too good. The people that have hit these many home runs using these torpedo bats, they've been generating hits with the regular bat, just the standard size bat. Um, but with this, it's actually giving them potential to hit a home run. Yes, it might in the future if people are getting too good with these, it might cause imbalance. Like, a home run, it's not nothing special anymore. Yet, um, just it also I'd say it also improves competition. Like with Aaron Judge not using a normal bat, he's going to be working a lot harder to compete with that bat, and it will cause more competition just to be a better hitter overall. But again, going back to my point, they're not going to be hitting the ball 100% of the time. This bat isn't promising players to be, yes, you could use this bat and you will hit the ball 100% of the time. There's still going to be strikeouts. There's still going to be flyouts. There's still going to be fouls. There's still going to be a lot of these things because of new generation pitchers, better strategies, better training, better studies shown and how to just generate better pitches and different pitches. They're not going to always be hitting this bat of the ball 100% of the time with this bat. And again, I will stand on my thing saying that these bats going more across teams will cause this competition to settle down and more be an equal playing field because every team is going to have one. And it's not going to be like, oh, well, this team had
Okay,
one, this
well
one
then
didn't.
the conversation comes up about what about the high scoring games? What if
The
it's
high scoring games,
30
this is the
20?
only 20-point game. The rest of the games that
Well, I'm
Dodgers
well,
have
I'm, what I'm
averaging has been 8 points, 9 points a game. They haven't been scoring these high points just as this is only
well, what I'm saying is in
one.
the future. And in the future, if everybody starts getting good at these bats, pitching continues to get better, then they're going to be like 20-point games a game, and that's going to be crazy for baseball.
Which I don't highly see that happening. I don't see 30-point games, 20 more. Like we've seen 20-point games with regular bats multiple times. This isn't the first time where a lot of people are making a big deal because of the torpedo bat, and not a lot of these studies, not a lot of studies have been shown with this until just recently. But I don't see, like in 2 years or like even 10 years, every single game being a 20-point game. There's still going to be a lot of competition to even swing at these bats. Being in the MLB, yes, it's it. What I'm about to say is like they're both hard, but being a professional MLB player is a lot harder than being an astronaut. Yes, like oh well, those two are very hard occupations, but still being that sport being that hard is something to be proud of and something to be calm. Like oh, these bats aren't going to change that aspect of it either.
Okay, I can see what you're saying. It's just I don't know. That's a boat I just don't know if I can fully, put 2 feet in because
Mm-hmm.
I like you said, I can see both sides. It's just I just maybe I'm just more of a traditionalist in that aspect
Probably.
of I just think the old bats. I mean, the only reason I'm not fully on that side is just the fact that it is getting extremely hard for the hitters to hit the ball with these improved pitchers. Like you said, there's new workouts, there's new studies, they start younger, they get better fast. There's just all these different ways to get better, start younger, get better throughout your life. And it's just by the time you get to the MLB, you're going to be way more prepared, developed, stronger,
Mm-hmm.
faster than all these others, back in previous decades or eras. So I can see why they need a competitive edge and they need to get, something back on their side. I just think it shouldn't be something like a home run torpedo bat. I just think like when it comes to your point of the whole, it's not gonna be a hit every time. I can understand that, and I agree with that. Obviously, they're not gonna have a perfect batting average. That's unheard
Mm-hmm.
of and impossible. But I think when they hit the ball, more times than not, it's going to be a far flying ball. They're not going to use a torpedo bat and hit a bunt. They're not. They're going to hit it and it's going to go flying. And if it goes flying, it's probably going to be a home run. And that's going to take away a lot of aspects of the game. And in my opinion, if I watch a game and I see, even if it's like more than 5 home runs by the same person, I think this is going to be great. I don't think it's going to be entertaining. I mean, if somebody hits a grand slam, wins a game, I mean that's exciting. But it's
Mm-hmm.
just like when you think about it in your head and you have it in the back of your head thinking it's probably that bat that gave him that home run. It's gonna cause a lot of doubts and just a lot
Mm-hmm.
of things taken away from the fun of the game. But that's just my
Yeah,
opinion.
and I'd say worst come to worst, what they're going to do is just make the field bigger. They're just going to
Okay.
probably to push out the back wall. If they're like right now, we don't have as much studies as we have with your traditional bat.
Hmm.
But with more of these studies showing, if it's shown that more home runs are going to hit, first thing you're going to do is extend the field. There's multiple fields. The A's are playing on a minor league field right now, so that is like looking at that study. Of course, you're going to have more home runs on that field, even with the normal bat, by going to like the Yankee Stadium, to the Cubs Stadium, to the Dodger Stadium, Angel Stadium, Diamondback Stadium. They're all different in size. They're not a perfect outfield. There's one like obviously the center's going to be pushed back more, but we have fields that are pushed on right field or left field that's farther back than left, right field, the other field, or even center field. Sometimes
That's a
the
good
out
point.
corners are pushed back. So the first thing they're obviously going to do if they're going to see these studies coming out that more hitting home runs is they're going to extend the field out more, and
Yeah,
that'll
that's
increase
a good
the
point.
competition. So I think these are good ways. Like again, people who like even like players that have been getting hits but no results. They're also like right now, before Torpedo Bat, they're the ones not wanting to play anymore because they're like their competition has left because they're putting all this work as well. Yet they're not a known player because they they just hit a roadblock with this. But having a tool like this will help increase people's motivation and bring them up to light as well. And again, when I'm standing by what I said, they're going to push out the field if it comes to what you're saying.
That's fair. I think if they push out the field, it'll fix a lot of problems. The big
Mm-hmm.
issue would just be injury because these torpedo bats, when you redistribute the way of they have
Mm-hmm.
redistributed it, the studies have shown the breaking of the bat has become more frequent and a lot more injury prone because
That's
it
why they shortened the barrel, and
right.
I think it was like 3 or 2 seasons ago. They made a smaller bat, which made the hit and home run average drop. And now that we have a torpedo bat using MLB standard regulation, this like with what we had now, it helps a lot.
Well, if that balances out, then that would be good, and I can see that being used.
Hmm.
But I mean, last thing I gotta say, torpedo bat, inflated stat. I mean, I don't like a cat. Padres in five.
Padres, and I don't even think
Yes,
is it
yes.
best of seven? It is best of seven. It's like okay, yeah, Padres in 5.
Thank you,
Padres.
Shannon Sharp.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say. Padres in five.
I'm gonna probably stick with that. Or an underdog team. I could see the Angels or Diamondbacks coming up as well and being a pretty good.
Diamondbacks is crazy. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Diamondbacks right now, they're one of my favorable teams right now, being sixth in the league overall right now, or not sixth in the league. Um, they're third in the league, fourth in the league, not sixth. Sorry,
Whole league or in their division.
whole league.
Oh wow, the Diamondbacks.
Diamondbacks,
Backs. Wow, wow, wow. Okay,
Arizona.
okay. Well, that's crazy that any Arizona team is producing. Okay, okay, whatever. I'm just kidding. Well, that will conclude our episode for this week. Thank you all for tuning in to watch or listen to this episode of the Two Dudes One Debate podcast. My name is
Oh yeah,
Gabriel.
we forgot to mention that this is our first episode that is going on YouTube as a not just an audio recording, but a visual recording as well.
That's a good point. That's a good point. They're going to be seeing this on YouTube. Well, if you're
Hmm.
watching this on YouTube, thank you for watching. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, something like that, thank you for listening. As I said before, I was so rudely interrupted. My name is Gabriel,
My name is Ethan.
and we'll see you guys next time.
God bless.